Guys, we have hit 10K. I don't even know how to process it. I've been trying to process it for the past several days since it has happened, and I can't process it. I can't wrap my mind around it. That is like a small stadium or like a hockey arena or something. I don't know, like that amount of people, the fact that that amount of people have, seen one of my videos and decided, yeah, I'd like to see more of that, and then clicked subscribe, like that's crazy to me. It was crazy to me when 1,000 people were subscribed, and so this, I don't even know. I don't know how to process it. I don't know how to wrap my mind around it, and I certainly don't know how to say thank you properly, but thank you. Thank you to all of you who have commented, liked, shared, subscribed, watched, anything, all of your support. I don't want to sound like a cliche, but it truly means the world to me. It really does. So for today's video, to celebrate 10K, we are doing a Q&A. I asked you guys for all of your questions that you had for me, and I wrote them all down, and we're gonna get through as many of them as we can. All right, let's get into some questions. What horses do you own? What are their names and what breed are they? So I currently own one horse. Her name is Polly, and she is a 15-year-old Percheron mare. Does your horse have a show or registered name? And if so, what is it? And if she doesn't, what would you make it? So no, Polly does not have a show name or a registered name of any kind because she's actually not registered. She came from a Mennonite farm and then several other owners before me. As far as I'm aware, she is not registered in any capacity and has no registered name of any kind. I honestly don't know what I would make her show name. I feel like I'd probably make it something funny. Like I know some people, they go for like really cool like poetic names. I don't think that's the vibe for Polly. I think we'd have to call her like the Polly Pocket, like the Mega Polly Pocket or something like that, or like the non-pocket size Polly Pocket. I don't know, something like that. I think she'd have to be something funny. But Polly did have a baby a few years ago who was born with a white star and then like a lightning bolt inside the star, and I always thought that his show name should be the Lightning Thief, even though he's graying out so he won't have that anymore. But I just thought because of that thing, I think his show name should be the Lightning Thief. If you could do any equestrian sport besides the obvious bad ones like Big Lick, which one would you choose and why? I don't really know, to be completely honest. I will say that in recent years, I've become increasingly fascinated by endurance riding. Now, that would be something I would only be able to do if I did not have the physical health challenges that I have, but I think the idea of endurance riding is really cool. Oh my god, no, vaulting. I have always wanted to do vaulting. There was actually a while there where my plan was kind of to train Polly to be a vaulting horse because she's really big, she's really smooth and steady when she moves, and I actually have the background of being a dancer, being an acrobatic dancer, but the fact that I was an acrobatic dancer is probably part of the reason why my body would not be able to handle it. I also have POTS, so being upside down, not great, but I've always wanted to do vaulting. That would be so amazing. It would be so cool. Any more animals that you think you'd like to own in the future? So many. So I hope to end up on a farm one day, so obviously there are a lot of farm animals that I want. I'd love to have a couple more horses, particularly, drafts or draft crosses, because that's where my heart is when it comes to horses. I'd love to have goats. I'd love to have chickens. Highland cows, I'd love to have a few of those, or miniature Highland cows. They can be miniature or they can be full size. I don't really care. I just really want Highland cows. I know that they're like really popular right now, but I did get to meet some in Scotland this past summer, and they are just so cool, so I'd love to have some of those. As far as like more like pet animals go, I would love to own guinea pigs again. I don't currently own guinea pigs, but I did when I was a kid, when I was like a young teenager. I ended up having to rehome them because at the time I was really not doing well mentally, and I was not able to take care of them as properly as I would have liked, and I wasn't giving them enough attention and I wasn't appreciating them enough, so I wanted them to be with somebody who's going to appreciate them properly. So I rehomed them to a lovely family that had a like 10 or 11-year-old daughter who had recently lost her guinea pigs, and she'd had the mourning process and she was ready for her next set of piggies, and so I rehomed them with her, and she was over the moon about them. But I'd love to have guinea pigs again. I really miss having guinea pigs. But yeah, there's honestly probably so many more animals on the list I'm just not thinking about. Okay, car alarm. What do you do with your free time? Right now, I don't really have any free time. I am very busy right now between school, YouTube, my dog, my horse. I'm co-boarding another horse, and there's a lot going on right now, and I barely have time to breathe. But things that I do enjoy doing with my free time, I am an avid reader. I love reading. Do love reading some nonfiction, but I am very much like a romantasy reader. That's definitely my genre. Love reading. I love watching movies and TV shows. I love Disney and Marvel and Doctor Who, all of those geeky things. I'm also a musician. I play several instruments and I write music, so that is something that I enjoy doing in my free time. I love writing songs. If you're interested in seeing any of like the music that I've done, I actually do have a separate channel where I post music stuff, not very often, and most of it is from like 5 years ago, but I'll link it at the end of the video, and I can put one of my most recent songs up here or here. Whichever side I choose is always wrong, but I'll link something there in case you're interested in seeing that. But I also I love spending time with my family. Of course, I'm very family oriented. Some of the things that I like doing with my free time. What is your goal in life? What dream do you want to achieve? Well, my like ultimate goal, a dream, is to have a family and live on a farm and be able to like raise my kids out in nature, you know, surrounded by animals, and do some homesteading type stuff, grow, you know, my own vegetables, like have a garden, and just find peace. I think that's like my ultimate dream. But as far as like some sort of like career aspiration, I would say just finding the way to make the biggest impact on the way that we care for our animals. I really truly want to improve the welfare of animals and improve the standard for animal care. However I end up doing that doesn't matter to me. That's what matters most. You seem like you have a lot of knowledge regarding veterinary medicine. Are you in the field? No. I have a lot of knowledge about it because I am very interested in it and I research it a lot. I was considering becoming a vet tech for a while, not for horses or dogs. I wanted to be a zoo vet tech or an exotic vet tech, but I'm not in the veterinary field. I am currently in school. I'm studying equine science and equine welfare, so I learn a lot through that, and I also just have learned a lot through my experience of working with and owning a horse, but I'm not actually in the veterinary field. What's your favorite activity to do with Polly? Honestly, I think my favorite thing to do with her is to just go out in the fields and just like sit in the hay while she's eating and just like exist with her. I think it's so underrated. I think a lot of people don't realize how enjoyable it can be, and like just getting to exist with your horse, just getting to relax and just enjoy their company. I think that's honestly my favorite thing to do with her. If you could have any animal as a pet with no consequences like welfare, cost, etc., what would it be? There are so many animals I would love to have that I will never have because obviously unethical. I think honestly top of that list would be a lemur. Fun fact about me, lemurs are actually my favorite animal. I'm obsessed with them. They are so cool and I would love to have one as a pet, but I never will because I think it's completely unethical. I don't think that there is any way for us to actually keep them as pets while keeping their welfare at the forefront. I just don't think it's possible. I know that some people do have them as pets. I don't agree with that. I am not a fan of any primates being kept as pets, to be completely honest, but a lemur, if there was a way to do it, that would be like the dream pet, but I will never do it because I just don't think that there's a way to do it properly. Also, they'd probably be like ridiculously expensive. At the same time, like, do I really want a pet that is like almost on my level of intelligence? Probably not. Did you rescue Polly, and what did you do when you first got her? So I did not technically rescue Polly. I bought her, but I was buying her from a situation where her needs were not being met. She had not seen a farrier in 12 weeks when I bought her. The owner couldn't remember and didn't keep any records on when she'd been dewormed or when she'd been vaccinated last. She was physically hurt in that home. No one really cared to try to figure out why she was the way she was or try to help her, so she was in a bad situation. I did buy her from a bad situation, but she is not technically a rescue. When I first bought her, well I rode her, like I co-boarded her for a while before I bought her, but when I first bought her, she had just given birth, so she had a baby on her hip. So for the first several months after buying her, I was just hanging out with her, I was brushing her, I was, okay, Padfoot, why are you whining? you are cooking yourself in the sun. You can move. So just grooming her, spending time with her, shoveling calories into her to try to get her to gain weight, and spending a lot of time with her baby and doing some training stuff with her baby as well and getting him socialized. But yeah, that's what I did with her in the beginning. How do you deal with your POTS when riding? I'm really trying to keep my hopes up about getting to ride again, but it's hard since I have both SVT and POTS. Also, your videos really help when I can't go out to the barn and do what I love. Well, I'm glad that my videos are able to bring you a little bit of joy. I'm really sorry that you're having a hard time with being able to be with horses and to ride. I know it can be really, really hard. Honestly, right now, I am barely managing riding with the POTS. I'm going to be completely honest. I have been co-boarding a horse to be able to ride while Polly is not ready to be ridden, and I have been struggling. Right now, every time that I do like a working ride, so doing like walk, trot, canter, like doing pole work, that kind of stuff, I flare up for like 2 to 3 days afterwards. It hasn't been like that all the time for the past year riding with POTS, but it has been that way for the past month, and it's been becoming increasingly painful to ride. But my top tips for riding comfortably with POTS: hydrate a lot before and after riding. As you know, hydration is key for POTS. Take salt right before you leave the house, and then take salt right before you get on. That's going to help increase your blood volume and reduce the chances of lightheadedness. If you have compression wear that you're comfortable in and you find helps you, compression socks or compression leggings or bodysuits, wear it. It's really going to help you, especially since you're staying seated when you're riding. A lot of your blood flow is going to sink to your abdomen, so if you can do like any sort of abdominal compression, that is most likely going to help you out a little bit. Take a lot of walk breaks. Don't feel like you have to like go all the time. If you have to take a walk break every like 2 to 3 minutes, take a walk break every 2 to 3 minutes. There is no point in pushing yourself. As soon as you start feeling like you are like lightheaded to the point where, because like when you have POTS, you're pretty much always a little bit lightheaded, but when you get lightheaded to the point where you feel unbalanced at all, just get off. It's not worth it. Depending on whether you are riding through a lesson program or you're leasing a horse or whatever your situation is, if you have any control over what kind of horse you're able to ride, I'd recommend a calm horse that is not going to throw as much at you, because it's just going to make your life easier. Honestly, my biggest tip though is for when you're getting off, take your feet out of your stirrups, move your ankles around, swing your legs a little bit, get them moving again, because that's going to get the blood going back into your legs where they should be. I have learned that if I don't do this before I get off, I will dismount, and the second my feet hit the ground, my legs buckle. So yeah, I'd recommend doing that. Get the blood flow moving before you get off. I wish I had more helpful information to give you. Honestly, I have been struggling with riding. As far as my POTS goes, I am currently going through a bit of a mental crisis, kind of trying to come to terms with the fact that I may not be able to ride the way I always have anymore. I might just have to make things a bit more chill. What is your favorite discipline and what is your least favorite discipline? Least favorite discipline is probably easier to answer. There are a lot of them that I really don't like. Big lick is definitely probably at the top of the list, along with the one discipline that I reacted to recently that is like a South American style bronc riding type thing, and I can't remember how to pronounce it, so I'll just put the name here. I'm also not a fan of bronc riding, but those are probably up there as like my least favorite. My favorite discipline, honestly, I think at my heart I'm a happy hacker. I think I just want to be out on trails for the most part. It's what my body can handle, and it feels more like me. I don't know. There are disciplines that I really enjoy watching, and then there's disciplines that I really enjoy doing. Like, I really enjoy watching cross country. I don't think I really want to be doing it. I think it's too much adrenaline for me. Also, I'm sorry, the sun keeps moving and the lighting keeps getting shit, but hopefully you're okay with that. What is your dream horse? Breed, skills, appearance, personality, etc. I think my dream horse is my horse, honestly. Polly is my heart horse, and I don't think I could really ask for much more. I think that any horse after her is gonna have a hard time living up to her, even though she has a lot of training issues. She is my girl. But I've often thought about what I would look for in my next horse, and I think I would probably go for a draft cross versus a full draft, just because it gives me a little bit more flexibility on what I can do with them. I'm interested in getting more into like liberty work and trick training, and there's certain things in that category that a horse like Polly can't do just because she's so big and her build is not super conducive to a lot of those like agile movements. I am a Percheron girl though, so I think maybe a Percheron cross of some sort. I'm a mare person for the most part. It's funny because like as far as dogs go, I like male dogs. I mean, I like all dogs, but I like male dogs. And as far as horses go, I'm more of a mare person, I would say, but I don't know if that's just because I have a mare and I love her. Like, I don't know if that would change if I found a gelding that I really liked. Like, I don't have like a set, oh, I'm looking for a mare or I'm looking for a gelding kind of thing. I think it would just be whatever ends up working out best. I love goofy horses. I love horses that like physical affection. I need a smart horse. I need a horse that can pick things up, and I need a horse that wants to learn and wants to engage, because trying to teach a horse to want to engage and want to learn is really, really hard. Yeah, I don't really have like a set, like this is the ultimate goal or dream horse. I think my dream horse is just the horse that I have. What is your ideal weekend like? What is your favorite place or way to relax? Well, it's kind of like a twofold thing, because I love going up to my family's cottage and getting to relax and read by the water, being able to take padfoot swimming, spend time with my family, you know, go out on the boat, that kind of stuff. I love being up there. It's just really a nice place, peaceful place to be. But I also love having a day where I can just go out in the field and just sit with my horse and read a book for like 2 hours. So those are probably like my two favorite ways to be. But like for relaxing, I also like when I need to recharge, I love coming home, sitting on the couch with my dog, or like cuddling in bed with my dog, watching funny YouTube videos or one of my comfort shows like Doctor Who or Bob's Burgers. I have watched Bob's Burgers so many times, and just having some good junk food or something that I really enjoy and just doing that. That's how I like to recharge, I would say. How many acres do you own? So I don't live on a farm property. The farm that you see in my videos is a boarding facility where I keep my horse, but I don't live on a farm. There's a couple of questions that kind of all are looking for the same thing. So like, what's your riding journey? How long have you been riding? Who or what inspired you to ride? I'll just kind of go over all of those together. I think that's easiest. How long have I been riding? That's a good question. Almost 10 years. I've been riding for almost 10 years, but it's kind of split up in there. So when I was in like grade 3, I think, I was in a friend group with 3 other girls. They're all very lovely girls. I still, you know, follow them on Instagram. They're living their great lives, but we're not close anymore. They were all obsessed with horses. So one friend had started riding horses along with her sister, and then another one of the friends started riding after her, and then the third friend started riding, and then I became obsessed with horses through them. Though I'd always loved animals. I'd always loved horses. I'd always loved anything animal related, but that was kind of that was my gateway drug. That was how I got into it. And I actually ended up taking like a group lesson with that third friend, and I rode in lessons with her for 2 years until my allergies were getting so bad every time I was at the barn that every drive home I would literally be like wheezing, coughing, hacking, like couldn't breathe, my eyes were watering, like it was so bad. So eventually my parents, they took me to my allergist, said like, this is what's going on, and they tested me, and it turned out that I was allergic to horses. You can imagine my heartbreak as a 9-year-old who was obsessed with horses and was in every way a horse girl. And so my allergist told me that I had to stop riding, because the problem with horses is that like he'd had patients who were extremely like very mildly allergic but had gone into anaphylactic shock from it, because when you're allergic to a cat, there's this much of the allergen, right? But when you're allergic to a horse, there's this much of the allergen, and there's never only one. You're always around a lot of them. And because the environment that they're in is typically full of dust and mold and all these other things that I'm allergic to, he said, you are at high risk for anaphylactic shock, and you are at high risk for developing asthma. So I had to quit, and I went back to dance, because I danced as a young child, and I went back to dance, and I do love dance, and I do miss dance. Unfortunately, my body can't take it anymore, but I do miss it. And then when I was about 13, my chronic pain had gotten really, really bad from the acro dancing, and my parents basically sat me down and said, hey, look, we've never picked you up from dance when you weren't crying from how much pain you were in. And I broke down and I was like, I have nothing else other than this. If I could ride again, I would quit dance in a heartbeat. And so my parents took me back to the allergist. They got me retested, and I'd grown out of it. It was negative. So I signed up for riding lessons the following fall, started up again when I was 14, and I have been riding ever since. I did several years of lessons. Training as like a hunter rider was like the style of riding that I did, but I did have a lot of like a dressage foundation with that second coach there. I did working student stuff. I was a barn employee. I've done Western riding in there as well, and I do love both. I like utilizing each of them for like different scenarios. Like if I'm out on a trail, I want to be in a Western saddle, or if I'm working with a horse who has a bucking or a rear problem, I want to be in a Western saddle because I want to have the ability to stay on. But if I'm doing like a working ride, I prefer to be in an English saddle, but I like both of them. When I moved Polly to the new property and then it turned out that she had a ton of behavioral issues that needed to be worked through, I was basically off of riding for like 2 years with the exception of a few rides. I was helping out with some of my friends' horses. Then I started up doing some lessons at a local lesson barn this past fall to get my skills back, and then now I'm co-boarding a horse for riding. And long term, I honestly see myself mostly just doing trails as far as riding goes, because I think it's honestly what my body can take. What was your worst, scariest fall or horse experience? I've had a few, but I think it's kind of like two separate questions. So my worst and scariest fall was off of a Belgian Trakehner cross mare. She was 5 years old, she was very green, and I was 16, and I was one of the few riders that was helping put miles on her. And it was the first time that I'd cantered her, and she threw a little buck because she was off balance, you know, as many young and under-muscled horses do. I lost my stirrup, and I was like, oh, this is fine, I canter without stirrups all the time. But I felt that the stirrup was not like in the right place, so I looked down to try to get my foot back into the stirrup, and in that moment she decided to completely take off to the right, like full right angle, like hard turn off to the right. I still had my right foot in my stirrup, so I was still attached to her, so I went flying like full all the way around and went slam down onto my back. She was a big horse, and I landed with a pole under my leg and a pole under my spine, like mid-back. And I remember in that moment being terrified because I hit with my back and then my head smacked against the ground, and I felt like my vision was blurry. I felt sharp pains shooting through my spine, shooting through my neck into my head. Couldn't see straight, couldn't breathe. The complete wind knocked out of me. I was going like because I couldn't breathe for like a solid minute. Luckily, I didn't break any bones from that incident. I didn't get a concussion, thank God, but I did get very severe whiplash that I have still not fully recovered from, and that was like 5 years ago. So that was definitely my worst fall, and it was probably my freakiest ever. Scariest, like, just horse experience though was honestly probably with Polly. One of the many times that I was dragged. I had one time this past winter where she went to take off, and what I usually do now when she has those moments of she goes to bolt is, because I use a 22-foot rope, I will go to the end of the rope and then I sprint after her full speed. And having that 22 feet of distance between us and her being slow and me being a decent runner, I'm able to keep up with her for the most part. And so I tried to do that, but I hit a patch of ice at the top of a hill and I went down, and even though the rope was not like wrapped around my hand, something about the way that I was wearing leather gloves, and then the end of my rope has like one of those leather ties, and something about it got stuck, I think like between my thumb and my forefinger, and something about the material, like the friction, it stuck. And so I got dragged like a good 10 feet, and I did like a 360 in both directions. So I'm going down head first, like this, and and when the rope finally like detached from my hand, I spun 360. So like if I'm flat on the ground, I spun 360 this way, and then I also spun 360 like somersaulted. That was really freaky in the moment, but I've had a lot of really freaky moments. Like I've had 2 horses rear on me while leading them. I've had a horse rear on me in the dark. I've had a horse that I rode do a really big rear. Thank God I stayed on Western saddle, the only reason I stayed on. You can stay on anything in one of those. But yeah, I've had a lot of freaky horse. And who, if anyone, inspired you to create your channel? I started my channel because I was bored, honestly. So, well, because I was bored and because I needed something to focus on. So I started my channel in June of 2024, so that's just under a year ago. And I started out just doing vlogs at the barn, vlogs with my animals, because I was so anxious at the time that I was barely functional. And I wasn't in school, I didn't have a job, and I needed something to fill my time. So I was like, you know what? I have always wanted to start a YouTube channel. I have always wanted to do videos like this. I'll give it a try. And then I ended up switching more into like reaction videos and animal education videos because I honestly just tried it once and enjoyed it more, and I really wanted to be helping educate people more so than just like entertaining them, if that makes sense. I do still want to do some vlogs, and now that, you know, summer is coming, I think hopefully I will. I take inspiration from a lot of equestrian content creators, like as far as continuing to do what I do. You know, I love the Equine Helper, Amber Matthews. I think there are a lot of them out there that I take inspiration, but the real inspiration to do what I do and make the videos that I do is just that I want to help animals. Any tips for getting a horse? I am gonna make a whole video on this because I think so many people need guidance on this. But honestly, the main thing I'm going to say is think about whether or not a horse is actually right for you. Do you want to own a horse, or is it really that you want to lease a horse? Do you just want to be riding, grooming, and bonding with a horse? A lease is probably good enough. Owning a horse adds in several more layers of responsibility and complexity, and it is honestly a lot. So I would think a lot about whether or not it is you really want to own a horse, or if you want to lease or co-board a horse. Also, as always, research about breed, temperament, discipline. I will make a whole video on this because I could literally sit here and talk about this for like 10 minutes straight, but those are my biggest tips. Okay, hey guys, I am so sorry. I got distracted by Padfoot's constant whining while I was filming that video, and I forgot to film an outro. So sorry about that. Yes, very much a change in scenery. I'm currently up at the cottage with my family for the weekend, but I just wanted to take this second to, you know, do an actual little bit of an outro. So if your question did not get answered in this video, stay tuned, because I did get a lot of welfare related questions and like discipline related questions that I felt like needed their own video. So this Q&A is actually going to be in 2 parts. So this is part 1, which will hopefully be up on Monday, which is all the personal questions, and then part 2 will be all of the welfare and discipline related questions, which will hopefully be coming out on Friday. If not, it will come out on the following Monday, but I think I should be able to get it out by Friday. If you asked a personal question that did not get answered in this video, it's probably because you commented it after I filmed the video, in which case I'm very sorry, but I will try to go in to the comments on my community tab posts and answer the questions there, or I will try to answer them in like a short or something like that. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I answered your questions well. I hope maybe you liked the answers that you got. If you have more questions for me, you can always ask them in comments under videos or community tab posts. I'm more likely to see them under community tab posts. I don't usually go through all of the comments on my videos anymore because I get a lot more negativity there. So if you have a question, community tab is the best place to ask it. I might do more Q&As in the future if there is more interest for it, but for now, I hope that this satisfied your curiosity into me and my life. Again, thank you guys so much for 10,000 subscribers. It honestly does mean the world to me, and even just at the time of filming this, we're almost at 11,000, which is crazy because it's only been like a week since we hit 10K. But yeah, I'm just so excited to continue to make videos and continue to grow this little community that we have. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.